Here we are in our concluding video in this long series of a self-portrait in 3D from Maya to Mudbox. And I just want to start by addressing one big thing, is hair. Probably wondering, when is he going to do hair? I'm not doing hair in these series of tutorials, but maybe down the road or down in a few months I'll do a hair tutorial. But to show you the kind of the process you could do, I just went back to my Maya file that I exported originally to Mudbox, and I just selected faces that would be where hair could grow from. And I just went under Mesh Extract. It extracts those faces, and I'm going to hit W to get out of that tool. Just clicking out of that gets me out of that tool. And you can see now I have a separated skull. I would, with this selected, I could rename this, hair source, delete everything else and save it as a Maya ASCII file and re-import it into this SelfPortrait 19. That way I'd have my original head and this duplicated surface. This surface here, you have a couple options here. You could use fur or N hair and just drop it on top of this source surface for your hair, or in Mudbox you could export it, and using sculpting tools you could sculpt hair. Now the hair sculpting in Mudbox would be more like a helmet of hair that you usually see, rather than the simulated, more realistic hair that you would get with N hair. So those are just an options, and I'm just a quick addressing that elephant in the room. But like I said, we're done. It's close. It's probably it is an idealized self-portrait. Perhaps the facial thinness that I wish I had. I'm sure my jaws are a bit chunkier, my eyes are a bit squintier, my eyebrows are not nearly as heroic, but nonetheless we're ready to render this out. And I'm just going to render this as a turntable. And to do that, in our menus up here I say render, create turntable. Now you notice the one thing I did was I centered my self-portrait as best as I could, because when I create a turntable, it's going to use that area. So maybe you can see how I got a bit ahead of myself up here, so maybe I'll just bring it down a bit. That looks more centered there. For a size to render this, it's up to you, but I might just do, we could just do like a YouTube HD size. Number of frames, well, we're going at 15 frames a second here. Why don't we do 24 frames a second? That means to go 360 degrees around this head, I think you'd want that to take 240 frames. Movie format, I'm going to have anti-alias for better quality QuickTime movie, and I'm just going to hit create. I'll save this as self-portrait to my desktop and hit save, and that's going to render out, and we can see in our lower left the percentage that it's rendering at. I'll just pause the video for now until it comes back ready to show. Okay, we've got our turntable done, rendered. Nice and easy. Now, the lighting and rendering is not as realistic as it could be. You could re-export this to Maya. And there's a couple things you can do. You can export channels to Photoshop. You can export individual channels. You can export the channel merged. The export channel to PSD is probably better because you're not flattening anything. You've got more control over the look, and you can edit that in Photoshop and bring it into Maya. Or you could just export your entire scene Whoops. Let's go back. And I'm just going to select the mesh, and I'm unlocking my eyes so I can select the eyes. I'll turn them on as well. So they're selected. I'm going to go File. I can send to Maya as a new scene. Try that. I'm going to send, you can send the base mesh. I'm going to send the meshes at current level. I'll just hit OK for now. My lower right is telling me it's sending updates to Maya, and it's ready to export. So it says save changes to that Maya file. I say don't save. You see, and it's not updating yet. It's still trying to think because it says connected to Maya, but it's busy. Now I get my new Maya scene. Got some eye problems, but we'll fix that later. I'll just Control H to hide them. And I'll hit 6. To go into texture mode so I can see and read what my textures are doing. That is pretty slick and an easy way to get another rendered view of our self-portrait. And another option is to send it as an FBX file. I'm going to export selection as an Autodesk FBX. And I'll just call this self-portrait, and just going to save it to my desktop for now. Just thinking. So what I want to do is go new scene. I'm not going to save this. And I want to import self-portrait.fbx. Hit 6 on my keyboard to see the textures. And 2 simple ways to get our Mudbox Sculpt and Paint back into Maya, which will allow us to get a better looking render using either Maya software or Mental Ray. That concludes the whole series. A bit of a marathon, and if you stuck with it, thank you very much. Comments are welcome, and I'll try and answer as many questions or criticisms, concerns as much as possible. Thank you, and I'll hopefully develop some more series for you, and you've enjoyed this. Goodbye.